So today we're diving into a topic that really has the power to shift how we approach life's challenges. So we're talking about mindset and the use of affirmations. I am so thrilled to have Barbara Chambers with us to guide this conversation. Barbara is a certified Mind Rebel coach, and her work reflects a really deep understanding of how mindset and intentional practices can transform our internal world. So Barbara, I'd love to hand the mic over to you, and I'm very curious to hear your perspective. Maybe we could start with how affirmations have helped you personally.
Yes, certainly. Over the last few years, I've really applied affirmations to my life. I was very much the person who was kind of very negative about herself. I'm not good enough. Nobody loved me. I'm not worthy. And I always felt that I had to work harder and smarter and better to be accepted or to achieve my goals. And then I started this program and I began to look at how affirmations can change my mindset. So applying them to my daily life as part of my meditation in the morning and be part of my bedtime routine, I began to start seeing myself differently. So speaking about myself in the positive and the affirmative, that I am smart, I am brilliant, I am beautifully, I'm wonderfully made, I am creative, I am pursuing my goals with joy and excellence, and I am happy, and I just speak the power of I am. A lot of that comes from my faith as well as a Christian. God talks about himself as I am that I am. And when I understood the concept of, if I am a creation of God and he is in me, therefore I am everything that he is. Therefore I am powerful. I am creative. I can speak into life what I wish and desire for myself because my words have power. And so as I began to understand affirmations, I began to speak it out. Eventually, what I was saying, I truly believed to be true. And as I began to believe what I was saying, people began to see me that way. And as people began to see me that way, it made my confidence rise and everything about me just come into this place of ease. But I had to change what I said and changed how I thought about myself.
How do you put your finger on the right affirmation?
Oh, so I think it grows. Like, for example, yesterday I woke up and my affirmation for yesterday was, I am wise and I make wise decisions. That was my affirmation for yesterday. And then a decision had to be made. I got a contract for a new project and I looked at the contract. It wasn't as we had discussed. So I kind of left it and I thought, I am wise and I make wise decisions. Let me just process this for a moment. And by the end of the day, by the time I went to bed, I was like, I now know exactly what I need to do with that contract. I sent an email and I said, do you mind if we have a quick meeting tomorrow? Because we need to discuss a point here. And that's how practical an affirmation works for me. Because I've been doing this a long time, I think you really do have to spend time sitting down in quiet meditation and quiet thought about what affirmation you want to adopt or adapt in your life for that particular day or for a season. So like some of my clients, for example, I have one particular client I'm working with. She does not see herself as beautiful. So I've suggested to her using an affirmation, looking at herself every day in the mirror and saying to herself, I am beautiful and I love you. Now, she's struggling with it a little bit because this is so new to her body and so new to saying about herself. So over time, if she continues to repeat this affirmation, she will actually start believing it and she will actually start seeing it because the mind will adjust to what you tell it. What your mind hears you say about you, your mind will affirm that internally. And so that's how I bring that. That's how I think one can actually start using affirmations and allowing affirmations to help you to develop and evolve. So my thing to her is like, just that's all you need to say. Just say that one affirmation every day until you actually feel it and believe it. Whereas with me, I choose different affirmations every day, or I listen to a series of affirmations as part of my meditation. And I may choose one out of that I'm going to use to say throughout my day. But it just really depends on the individual, where they're at, about how they see themselves, how they feel or think about themselves. But if you've not used affirmations before, then I would say just choose one and stick with it for about a week or maybe 2 weeks or a month until you really begin to believe what you're saying.
How would you recommend someone position their affirmation?
I would recommend that person positions their affirmation in the present tense. So not in a wishful thinking way that I'm hoping this will happen or I hope that I will be, but speaking to it in the first person of I am this way. So I would create my affirmation, even though I may not be that way yet, or I don't see myself as that yet. I'm speaking as if I am in that way. I am in that state of being or that state of thinking and acting. So, for example, I may have a client who doesn't have a lot of confidence, doesn't know how to speak up for themselves or to articulate their truth. So I would suggest an affirmation like, I am confident and I speak my truth in love. So they are then affirming something that they can be, that they desire and want to be, but they're speaking it as though they are that already.
Barbara, what do you think about the expression, fake it till you make it?
I think that's a tricky one because we desire authenticity, right? When you're speaking an affirmation, you're speaking to yourself. So therefore, you are speaking in an aspirational way. I think the term fake it till you make it tends to be something that we do externally. We behave in a certain way, we dress and we look in a certain way because we're trying to achieve something or create something in our life. And I think then you're deceiving others. That's not truly coming from a place of authenticity. It's not really coming from a place of you truly being your best authentic self. I think you are pretending and deceiving. And so the term fake it till you make it is really not something I would suggest or share in my coaching practice. What I'm helping my clients to do is really to find authenticity within themselves, to appreciate and value and love who they are and who they desire to be. So transitions happen. We're all transitioning. We're all transitioning from one place to another. But in that journey, we're also learning to be true, not only to ourselves, but everyone else around us.
The continued practice and use of affirmations. You said something earlier about, like, at first doing this, you could be saying these affirmations to yourself and just not believe it, not feel it to be true. What's been your experience, both in yourself and the clients you serve, in the daily practice and the continued practice of coming back to the same affirmation, and how that actually rewires and changes the mind over time?
Yeah, certainly. I can speak to that from my own personal experience. I used to say to myself, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of the best. I'm not worthy of just certain expectations in life. And because of that, I felt that's what the universe brought to me. I never got the best. I never could achieve what I really wanted to achieve. And I had to really see myself differently. And that meant taking a deep dive within myself about, why do you see yourself as not being worthy? What is causing you not to see yourself as being worthy? And so not having anyone in my life right now to affirm me, I had to affirm myself. And I think taking that courageous step of saying, I am worthy of love, I am worthy of compassion, and I am worthy of the best that life has. And I receive it with grace and love, and I accept it into my life, really helped me to think differently about how I treat myself and how others treat me. And it allowed me then to courageously tell people, no, I refuse that behavior, or I refuse you saying that about me. It just gave me this boldness to speak up for myself and really now then create goals around, what do I want for my life? What do I expect for my life? When I'm working with clients, I'm encouraging them to be bold. I'm encouraging them to expect more for themselves and expect more for their life. And so the power of repetition, when you become something you're repeating daily or doing on a regular basis, it allows your mind to then shift and adjust from what you negatively said about yourself, some kind of limiting or negative belief or a negative saying about yourself, to something far more empowering and something far more affirming that strengthens you from the inside. The mind, as we know, is just a very powerful thing, right? But what's more powerful is our own ability to shift and change it. So we can shift and change our thinking. So there's a phrase in the Bible that says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So you can actually change and renew your thinking to help you transform your life.
You talked about the power of repetition. Is there a magic number in terms of how many times someone needs to say an affirmation a day, or how often they need to come back to it? So the first part of my question, is there a magic number? And the second part of my question is, what would you recommend to people to remember to come back to it? You know, are there any tips or tricks that you could offer that remind people throughout the day of their affirmations, or at least remind them to come back to their affirmation?
Well, first of all, unfortunately, there is no magic number. I think you eventually know when something shifts within yourself. The whole point of affirmations is helping you to create awareness about what's going on within you. So when you're sitting silently and you're meditating on your innermost being, you're sensing where the tensions are, you're sensing where there might be some pain, and you're releasing that through your breathing, you're releasing that through your affirmations. And so to remind yourself throughout the day, if you have to set a timer in your phone, for example, a time reminder in your phone. So I want to repeat my affirmations for 5 minutes at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and just before I go bed. I have sticky notes, post-its on my bathroom mirror, in my bedroom mirror, in my basement mirror, so that I can remind myself. On my kitchen fridge, there's an affirmation that says, I am grateful for the gift of life and the gift of health. And I'm healthy and I am living my best life. You can put your affirmations anywhere you need to create a reminder. If you're in the car, for example, I am calm when I'm driving and I am at peace when I'm driving, because in the car, road rage happens. But you can remind yourself anything that you need to do that works best for the individual, right? So if it's post-it notes, if it's a reminder in your phone, if it's a timer that you need to set, whatever works for you, really. I want to say that the words we speak form our beliefs, and our beliefs form our behaviors. So we have to learn to speak more positively and more affirming to transform our words, which helps to transform our beliefs. And it ultimately changes how we behave and how we act, how we live out our lives.
Barbara, you've created a tool for your community and the people that you work with that you're so generously sharing with this community. Can you speak a little bit more about this tool that we're going to link to this episode?
So I created a 10-minute affirmations audio MP3 file that people can download for free from my website at yourdeeplife.com. And I encourage the listener to take 10 minutes out of their day in the morning and take 10 minutes just before they go to bed. The reason I say first thing in the morning is because as we wake up, our mind is at the most alert. So what we put into our minds as we wake up sets the tone of how we start our day. So why don't we start the day with some positive affirmations, just being still and affirming who we are. You know, I am rested. I am ready for my new day. I am excited about what this day and the opportunities this day brings to me. We're actually setting the tone of how we're going to think and feel and be in a day. The reason why I suggest we listen to affirmations just before you go to bed is because with everything that we've been through throughout the day, we might have had some tensions, we may have had some disagreements, there might have been some things that negatively happened to us. Then we are actually stilling the mind and calming our mind to sleep more restfully. And so the body will process what it hears, the last thing it hears before we go to bed. And so while we're sleeping, the body is processing within you all the affirmations that you've just spoken, allowed your brain to hear. So then you'll wake up, you'll sleep more calmer, and you'll wake up also feeling calmer.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this beautiful wisdom with this community.
Thank you for having me, Taryn. It's been an amazing opportunity. Thank you.